corporations, well, I would say 98% of all corporations, all CEOs are still white. So, ¿dónde estamos trying to invest in a democratic system in the Democrats cuando they play dumb, ¿verdad? The Anglo plays dumb, and the gringo cuts our throat. So what do? They've been doing this to us for over 250 years. They did it to Native Americans, right? Viene el Anglo to the territory. He says, "Oh, we're going to have trade. Oh, that's wonderful. Let's have trade." And then they sign a treaty, right? The gabacho comes in, the greedy capitalist gabacho comes in. He says, "Oh, you have gold. You have gold in your land, and we're going to have to change that treaty." And the Native Americans are, pura madre, no, chale, you can't do that. Well, we're going to do it by force, whether you like it or not, because we have guns and you don't. You still have arrows. So then they do that. And then the Indians that have no recourse, they try to go to Congress. Ahí están los gringos. Los gringos son the most racist people of them all. Well, we're not going to enforce this treaty. We have to sign a new treaty. Y así nos tienen back and forth, and you're investing in a system that has raped us for 250 years. Democrats or Republicans son los mismos pinche animal.
Questions?
Sí, Beto, saludos de nuevo, Jesús Medel. Within your radio program, Radio Aztlán, is that the name of it?
Yes.
Are y'all communicating con documentary filmmakers, Chicano filmmakers?
As much as we can, we try to bring anybody and do all interviews with anybody. Okay. We're a non-profit, non-commercial radio station, so it gives us the liberty, ¿verdad? To play our own music, to do what we want, versus a commercial radio station. So we're a non-profit, non-commercial, educational radio station. But again, they're silencing all of our voices by going after the FCC, by going after PBS. They're trying to silence everything.
My next question, Roberto. In February, we're going to launch our Cine Cuauhtémoc Pan American Film Festival. It's a Chicano themed film festival. I'll call you to see if you can share some contacts of some filmmakers in your area.
Absolutely. Gracias.
Gracias.
Comments?
Well, I'd like to say something. I'm a historian, Roberto. I'm retired now, but it took me, I started teaching 50 years ago. And one of the things that I learned early on that has been very important to me that I wanted to mention, because you mentioned the spiritual, you're right. The fight is really spiritual. Yeah. Of course, it's material too, but it's fundamentally spiritual. And what I did is I came across numerous instances where Mexicanos would make claims about low wages and lynchings. And of course, those are really important issues. Yeah. But the one thing that always came up above everything is that they complain, basically, they would say they don't think we're equal to them. Yeah. They think we're less than them. No nos valorizan. That's spiritual language. And that was the issue that most has bothered folks through the years. When you're seen as being less than, that's the root of all evil, really. But anyway, you reminded me of that. You're right. I agree with you.
Gracias.
I have a small question. Robert, do you think that fighting for equality is going to put us in the same place? Instead of equality, shouldn't we be fighting for equity?
You're right on it. You're spot on. ¿Verdad? Like you said, I know that a lot of you have gone through the motions, and you're exactly right. We need to fight for equity, not equality. Equality is a word, right, that they make up, ¿verdad? There is no equality. In indigenous thought, there is balance, right? Between male and female, positive and negative. We found balance in everything, right? Equality is like the horizon. You look at the horizon, but can you catch it? No, you can never catch it, right? Because the world turns. So it's an illusion. It's an illusion of equality. What we want is equity. You know, we talk about black people, right? What do they want? What do black people want? ¿Cómo se dice? What's the word?
Yeah.
Reparations.
Reparation, yeah.
Right. Well, what do Chicanos want? We want restitution. Give us the land. Yeah, give black people money. That's fine. But we want the land because this is indigenous land and we belong here. And this is our land. This is our inheritance.
George Garcia, you have a question.
Yeah, when we talk about the spiritual side of it, valores, principios, you can ask questions like that about equality, equity, and so on. But talking with Father Perazas from Altar Sonora, and Altar Sonora is the major place before you hit the border on that stream of people and product that is coming into the United States. And the Altar sometimes is double, almost triple the population of the residents because of the gathering of people there before they're taken across. And in talking with him, and he lives with two cartels. He's had been stopped by cartel people, put a gun stuck in his face, and he just says, look, you can kill me, but there's no priest going to take this parish. So nobody's going to baptize your children, or nobody's going to marry your daughters. It says, so you got me, and you deal with me as such. And he helps people. One of the things that he does, I mean, this is an ordained Catholic priest that provides people with women with contraception pills. He says, because the chances of being raped are almost 100% for those poor women being brought up here, by so-called coyotes that they paid to bring them up here. And he says, you can't give them pastillas, it's got to be injection. It's got to be a shot. So I mean, this man lives a life, and when you talk with him, it's just unbelievable. But in talking with him, he says, yeah, we have those great principles, democracy, equality, and justice, and so on. He says, but those are altos principios. He says, you got to start, he says, very basic. He says, and if you can achieve these basic principles, he says, then maybe you have a chance of building towards these other higher principles and goals. And the two principles, transparencia, transparency. We talk about Democrats and Republicans all the same. There's no transparency with them. There's none. The other principle is rendición de cuentas and accounting. And he's talking about a basic accounting in policy, in resource allocation. It's just it has to be, Woodrow Wilson. He's one of my least favorite presidents. But there are some things that he came up with, and in reference to the League of Nations, open covenants openly arrived at. The process of asamblea, that's something you talk about indigenous. That was the one that is to this day the indigenous process. I mean, you look at the Zapatistas, asamblea, lo que concierne a todos debe ser discutido y aprobado por todos. And that's a hard one because that means you just don't go vote every 2 years or whatever. It means you're in it. People confuse and it's done, I think, intentionally. You conflate electoral politics and politics, and they're not the same thing. Electoral politics to me is just a part of this bigger realm of politics. And this is, if we can break through and push for transparencia y rendición de cuentas, I said, that will be a major change, and we might have a shot of improving the situations. And frankly, working on something that, I work with an informal group of people, and we say, andamos de fracaso en fracaso. And that's what it is. And we will not see the application of those principles that we're trying to establish. But that's what we have to do. Cada quien aporta su granito de arena. And we have to keep reminding ourselves. That's why it's so important to have an approach of solidarity and working together, because te vas a habitar, te vas a descansar. You need somebody saying, hey, órale, remember why we're in this. We started this process for a purpose. And ya de viejos, we're still in it, and you know, you do what you can. I don't go to marches anymore because you know, I'm no good at marching. Besides, the route of the march better have an excusado about every hour's length, or I'm in trouble. So, you know, you don't want me on a march that's longer than an hour. So, you know, you have to adjust to our realities, but keep the principles and ideas. And I think this idea of working for transparencia y rendición, those are achievable, hard to achieve, but even that is going to be a struggle to get there.
Lupe Chavez, Lupe, you can raise.